yes, you had mold. You actually have visible mold in the carpet. And so that brings up the third issue, which is that when the property is sold, there's going to be a disclosure, and that disclosure is going to ask, A, has there been a leak or a flood? And the answer to that has to be yes. And B, has there been mold? And that's on the disclosure form, and the answer to that's going to be yes. So in both those cases, a buyer is going to want to know what was done.
Right.
So that becomes the liability issue. Now, in terms of health concerns, anybody who has immune suppression, immune deficiency, respiratory conditions, those are people that are most likely to suffer if there's going to be mold in the air, which there may or may not be at this point in time. The majority of the population is, frankly, eats mold for breakfast, or eats it with our salad and blue cheese dressing. So it's not something that I'm not a scaremonger when it comes to mold, because there are no mold police.
Right.
I just get paid to give you the facts. Whatever the decision is made is completely fine. It's up to you guys, and I can support that in any way you need. I can write up exactly what I'm saying, take pictures, write up my report. There are plenty of people at this point who say, you know what, we've got enough information. We don't want any report written up. Here's your money. Here's the door.
Right.
And I'm just as happy to do that as well. So I don't think twice about it. I understand that completely. So it all depends on how you want to proceed forward. And
well, your dad's gonna have to make that decision.
yeah.
Right.
Oftentimes, an insurance agent is a good person to be in contact with at this point, because if one calls the 800 number for the insurance policy, then even if you choose to pull the plug on an insurance claim, or an insurance company comes out and says, no, we're not going to cover this, it's still a ding on the record of the house, and it still will show up for the next 5 years when a history is brought up on the property. So if it were my home and I wanted to find out, is it covered, what are the options I have from an insurance standpoint, I would definitely be in touch with my agent rather than the 800 number, knowing that I don't want a ding on my record if I'm just going to take care of it myself.
Right.
Some people have policies where the deductible is so high that it is worth just taking care of it themselves.
Right.
And or you take care of it until you determine that it's a size beyond one's budget.
You would think you'd be looking in the $10,000 range.
Yeah. And under.
And
If it doesn't spread into any of the.
And is there any reason to think it would spread if the water source is finished, or as long as the mold has food, it can still grow, or
as long as it continues to be wet, and it's wet all underneath that floor,
I see.
in that wall, down these walls, in the insulation of those walls, around the door frames. So in other words, it's going to get worse.
Right.
It will dry out eventually, but in that process,
how much is there before it dries
it will get
out?
worse.
Right.
Yeah, mold will develop if it hasn't already.
Right.
And more than likely, all it takes is about 48 to 72 hours for significant mold to grow, then a couple of weeks for really significant mold to grow, and then beyond that.
So you hear this black mold, like, is that black mold? Is that what that is, or?
Probably. I say it that way because black mold is a particular type of mold, and that's called Stachybotrys. Stachybotrys does not naturally occur, by and large, in people's homes. It also doesn't occur if you have a leak underneath your sink and you find a little bit of mold, and it's only been happening a week or two. Stachybotrys doesn't grow that fast. What it does do is grow very slowly and aggressively once it does grow. And what happens is it eats up the other molds. And this is a perfect environment for Stachybotrys to take hold because it's been here for a while. And so you will have a couple of different molds that are considered injurious to people's health. And so that's only because it's been here. Now, almost every leek has some amount of mold that grows.
Right.
And usually we don't care because mold is naturally occurring. So it becomes a matter of, is there too much mold? And in this particular scenario, one of the reasons we're not seeing a lot of mold is the paint job.
Right.
The kind of paint does not, both in the laundry room and upstairs in the bedroom or bathroom, is semi-gloss paint that has a tendency to seal in the wall system. And so the mold is hidden behind the baseboards, underneath the floor, inside the wall system itself,
Right.
that kind of thing, if it exists, assuming it exists.
Right. So is it a matter of like you walk in here, breathe black mold, death to you kind of a thing?
Not
Is it-
necessarily. If
Right.
you, so for example, the other mold that goes along with black mold is that survives black mold's attack is penicillium.
Right.
Penicillium is a mold that grows whenever there's water damage. And penicillium is one of the derivatives of penicillin. So if a person who has a severe allergy to penicillin, they go into anaphylactic shock. If they came in this home,
That's
they
me.
may go into anaphylaxis.
Allergic to penicillin.
Yeah, so there are, without trying to sound scary,
Yeah.
there are certain health risks. Are they, your average person? No. But I have described the type of people that would have substantial risk coming into this home. That's why I'm here. As much as I know, I'm not sitting here with a respirator
Right.
because I know what I'm allergic to and what I'm not allergic to.
Right.
I've been in these environments enough to know. But this is now in terms of where we go from here. We can do a bunch of sampling, and I can take the tests and we could see what the results say. I truly believe, as much as that puts money in my pocket and makes me more money than my trip fee, I think it's a complete total waste of time, and I'll tell you why. A, it's a snapshot of right now, which is going to be very different than a week from now.
Right.
B, mold likes to stay where it's wet. Where it's wet is inside these walls and inside that ceiling chamber or floor area. And so mold isn't going to be where I can actually access it. I don't need to take a sample of the black spot on the carpet to tell you that it's mold. It's sort of like if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. No need to take a sample to find out that it's a duck. So all these reasons would be, I'd rather see the money be spent on corrective action unless it's absolutely a necessity to be 100% sure. In which case, the only thing I can be 100% sure of is where I can see it.
Right.
Even if I take the samples and they come up clean, my report will have to say, more than likely,
Right.
it's in the wall system not being exposed to my sample
Right.
device. So you're gonna, anybody looking at my report would say, well, why did I put money into this? Because it's the test results are gonna be so skewed that I wouldn't trust them.
So at this point then, I'll talk to my dad, and if we can hold off on the report being written, I guess, is number one. Then if we were to phone the insurance company and they say, yeah, we cover this, do we then get a report written by you? Does the insurance company usually have someone come out and do a mold report?
No, they usually have a dry out contractor who
Okay.
comes out, who is familiar with mold,
Okay.
knows how to handle mold, and takes on the project. So depending on the insurance company and the relationship they have with the dry out contractor, that will either go well or it will be a nightmare.
Right.
And because in our industry, I think you can probably tell at this point in time you're dealing with an honest person in me.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd be trying to convince you to do a bunch of sampling. Unfortunately, that is not the case of the majority of the companies that are out there. So one of the options, since I don't do any of the work, I get
Right.
to see who's honest and who's not. So one of the things that I can help with is just a quick phone call to me that says, hey, insurance company is recommending XYZ company. From a professional standpoint, I'll never say anything bad.
Right.
But what I will say is my recommendation is a different company.
Right.
I can go that far
Right.
without saying a single thing bad about the company. But please understand that I wouldn't do that. I either don't know them,
Yeah.
or if I know them, and I say go a different direction, take that for what it means.
Right.
You know, I'm happy to provide that kind of assistance. Now, if, on the other hand, there is a desire to actually try to get a name of somebody that I trust, happy to do that.
Right.
I'm always a bit reluctant to offer that right away,
Right.
because I don't want to look like I'm in cohorts with another company and just trying to get money on the side.
Right.
Sure.
These companies are notorious for having a whole network of kickbacks.
Right.
And the first time one of the companies that I refer offers me money will be the last time I ever refer them.
Right.
So we don't work that. And it works for plumbers that way.
All
And
right.
it goes all throughout the industry.
So we basically have to kind of figure out if it's insurance avenue or personal maintenance avenue and what we can do, and so I guess
If
obviously
it-
he has to make that.
Yep, and let me tell you, if it is in fact going to be non-insurance,
Mm-hmm.
you can get 5 different restoration companies out here. Most of them will tell you how to tear
Right.
everything out here. In the laundry, in the bedroom, in the bathroom. They'll just
Right.
play it up.
Right.
And that may need to be done. At this point, I don't know that. You know, I'd rather see you deal with a company that's going to take it as it comes.
Yeah.
So they'll start minimal and expand if the job
As
needs to
needed.
expand with actual.
And you have names of companies that would
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Okay. Well,